Hi everyone, my name is Amaka and this is Lizama Stitches. If you're new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you're highly welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a pant trouser. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Let's get started. Now I've ruled some lines already. I'm going to start by taking my vertical measurement. This is my starting point, which is also going to serve as my waistline. And this line, I'm going to be taking my measurement from here, from this line. Now my trouser is going to have band. It's going to have 1.5 inches band. So I'm starting my measurement from this tape, from this 1.5 inches. So I'm going to place my tape like this, 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to start by taking my vertical measurement. So I'm going to take my hip measurement. Waist to my hip point is 8 inches and my crotch point is 10 inches. 10 inches. And my tie line is 3 inches below the crotch point, 3 inches below the crotch point. That gives me my tie line. Now my knee line, my knee point is 22 inches, and the full length of my trouser is 41.5 inches, 41.5 inches. And I'm going to use 2.5 inches for my I'm going to use 2.5 inches for my hemming allowance, and that puts me here 44. So I'm going to extend the points 8 inches, 10 inches, 13, 22, and I'll connect the points. Now, in case you don't know how to take your crotch measurement, now all you need to do is to sit on a hard surface, place your tape on your waist, and pin it on the seat, just like the picture you're seeing on the screen. That's how to take crotch measurements. Let me label these lines. Now, this is my hip point. This is my hip point. This is my crotch line. This is my thigh line. This is my knee line, and this is my ankle point. That is the full length of the trouser. Now the next thing I'm going to do, now on the hip point, I'm going to take my hip measurement on the hip point. Now my hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 gives you 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here. Now I'm going to mark 10 inches on the hip, on this point. I'll mark it here on the hip point, and I'll also mark it on the crotch point and on the waist point. And I'll connect it. I'll connect the points. On the waist point, I'm going to take my waist measurement on the waist point. Now, I'm going to take my measurement. Now, I'm taking my measurement this way. I'm not taking it like this. I'm taking it like this. Now, my waist circumference is 32 inches. 32 divided by 4 gives you 8 inches. Gives you 8 inches plus 1 inch for that gives you 9 inches plus a quarter inch for ease puts you here. That is 9 1/4. So I'm going to mark it. Now I'm going to connect this point to the hip. Now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to find the midpoint. Now to get the crotch extension, I'm going to divide this measurement. What I have here, this measurement I have here, which is 10 inches. This measurement I have here, that is the hip I have on the hip point. I'm going to divide it by 4. I'm going to divide it by 4. So 10 divided by 4 gives you 2.5 inches. So on the crotch Now on the crotch line, I'm going to mark that 2.5 inches, and that will give me my crotch there, my crotch extension. So this is my crotch extension. Now to curve this line, now I'm going to curve this point to this point. So for me to do that, now if you can actually do this with your free hand if you know you're not going to draw it too deep. But for me not to draw it too deep, I'm going to, from this point, on this point, I'm going to mark 2 inches outward. I'm going to mark 2 inches outward. And I'll connect this point to this point. So I'm going to do something like this. You can actually do this with your free hand. If you know you're not going to do it too deep. So now the next thing I'm going to do, now I'm going to find the midpoint of this line, of this point and this point. I'm going to find the midpoint of this line. Now the midpoint is, now this what I have here is 12.5 inches. So 12.5 divided by 2 gives you 6 1/4. So this is the midpoint of this line. 6 1/4. So I'm going to mark 6 1/4 here. And I'll mark it here, 6 1/4. I'm going to mark it to the ankle. Now this line is going to help me to shape the leg of my trouser. Now on my tie line, I'm going to take my tie measurement on my tie line. Now my tie measurement is, my tie circumference is 22 inches. I'm going to divide 22 inches by 2, and that gives you 11 inches. So now this is 11 inches. This is 11 inches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold this tape into 2 because I want to get the midpoint of this 11. I'll fold this tape into 2. Now this is it. 5.5 inches. So I'm going to place that 5.5 inches on this line, and I'll mark my 11 inches here, and I'll mark here. On the knee point, I'm going to take my knee circumference, my knee measurement on the knee point. So my knee circumference is 16.5 inches. So I'm going to divide 16.5 by 2, and that gives you 8 1/4. That gives you 8 1/4. So now this is my 8 1/4. So I'm going to fold my tape into 2 because I just want to get the midpoint of this 8 1/4, and I'll place this, now this, I'm going to place it here, and I'll mark my 8 1/4. I'll mark my 8 1/4 like this, and I'll mark here. Take note, the midpoint of 8 1/4, I placed it on this line. Now on this point, I'm going to take my ankle measurement on this point, on my ankle point. Now my ankle circumference is 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5 inches. So this is my 7.5 inches. I'm going to fold my tape into, now to get the midpoint of this 7.5 inches, I'm going to fold my tape into 2, just like this. Now this is the midpoint of 7.5 inches. That gives you 3 3/4. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the 3 3/4 on this line, and I'm going to mark 7.5, and I'll mark here. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this line. And I'll connect the points. So now I'm going to connect this point to this point. And I'll connect this point to this point. I'll connect this point to this point. So I'm going to connect this point to this point, this point to this point, and this point, just like this. So I'm going to impute my dart. Now my dart is 4 inches. So my dart is 4 inches. So I'm going to mark 4 inches here. And on this point, I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides of this line. ½ inch here and ½ inch here. And I'll connect it. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer what I have here on the back panel. I'm going to bring another paper. I'm going to place this one on top of that paper, and I'll use my tracing wheel to trace all the lines I have on the front panel. I'll trace it on the back panel. Now I've transferred the lines. I've transferred the lines to the back panel. So this is the back panel. Now I'm going to remove the back panel and finish the front panel. So I'm going to add my seam allowance. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add my seam allowance, ½ inch seam allowance all around it. I've added my seam allowance. All around it. So now I'm going to add my zipper fly. And this is what I'm going to do from here. I'm going to come down by 5 inches. I'll mark 5 inches from here. Now from here, from this main line, I'm going to mark 2 inches. Now considering this seam allowance I've already added here, I'm going to mark 2 inches. Now take note, I'm marking my 2 inches from this main line. And from this point, I'm going to mark 5 inches. So I'll connect the points. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to do like a curve from here like this. I'm going to curve here. It's something you can actually do this with your free hand. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, now I'm going to extend this seam allowance. So I'm going to add my pockets. Now, from here, from this main line, not the seam allowance, from the main line, I'm going to mark 3 inches. And from this line, I'm going to mark 6 inches. I'm going to mark 6 inches. And I'll connect this point to this point. Now I'm adding my pocket. I'm going to start my pocket from here. Now my pocket bag, I'm trying to draft my pocket bag. So I'm going to stop my pocket bag here. I'm going to use this line. I'm going to use this line. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, now if you want your pocket to be lower than this, you can actually come down. You can actually extend this line. So I'm going to add half inseam allowance here on this pocket. Now I'm going to cut out the pocket. Now for me to do that, I'm going to trace out this pocket. Now this is the pocket facing. From here to here is the pocket facing, while from here to here is the pocket bag. So now I have my paper here. The paper I'm going to use to trace it out. Now this paper, my paper is folded into two, which means I'm going to have two. I have two paper here. I'm going to cut out two. One is going to be the pocket bag, and the other one is going to be the pocket facing. So I'm going to place it underneath. I'm going to place it under this paper, and I'll trace it. I'll trace it. So I'm going to remove it and cut it out. So one is going to be the facing and the other one is going to be the, so this is it. One is going to be the facing while the other one is going to be the pocket bag. I just want it to be visible so that you see what I'm doing. So I'm cutting it out. So this is the pocket bag and this is a pocket facing. So now this is my pocket facing. This is my pocket facing and this is my pocket bag. This is my pocket bag. So that's just it with the pocket. So I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it. Now I'm going to fold in this part just like this. And I'll cut. So I'm going to cut out this part. I'll cut out this part. So I'm going to cut out, I'm going to cut out this part because it's no longer useful to me. So I'm cutting it out. So now I'm going to trace this out to get my zipper shield. Now this is my zipper fly. Now to get my zipper shield, I'm going to trace this out. So I'll use my tracing wheel to trace here. Now I'm going to cut off this part. I've already traced here. I've already traced this part. So I'll cut off this part. So let me remove it. So now this is my zipper shield. So this is my zipper shield. So now this is the back panel. Now this is the hip point. This is the hip point. This is the crotch. This is the crotch line. This is the thigh line. This is the knee length, knee line, and this is the ankle, and this is the hemming allowance. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is this. On the crotch point, on the crotch line, I'm going to extend this line. I'm going to mark now. From here. I'm going to mark 2 inches. From this point, I'm going to mark 2 inches, and from this 2 inches point that I marked, I'm going to come down by ½ inch. I'll come down by ½ inch. So I'm still going to come back to this. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find the midpoint of this line. The line is 3 3/4. So the midpoint is this is the midpoint of this line. This is the midpoint of the line. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure what we have here. Now what we have here is 2.5 inches. This 2.5 inches we have here, I'm going to mark it on this line straight, just like this. 2.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches here, just like this. So these are 2.5 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this point to this 2.5 inches. I'll connect this point to this 2.5 inches, just like this. So this is the back crotch. Now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to find, now this is the front waistline. Remember the front waistline? This is the front waistline. Now I'm going to measure what we have here. What we have here is 9 1/4. 9 1/4. So this 9 1/4 inches we have here, I'm going to place it on this. I'm going to measure my back waistline. I'm going to start my measurement from this point. Now I'm going to measure 9 1/4, just like this, slantly, just like this. So this is my 9 1/4. So this is my 9 1/4. So I'm going to connect this point to this point. So this is the back waistline. Now to impute the back dart, I'm going to measure what I have here. Now what I have here is 3 3/4. What I have here is 3 3/4. So this measurement I have here, I'm going to measure it here. Now to impute my dart line, this measurement I have here, I'm going to impute it here. So this is it. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I want to draw my dart. And now I'm going to draw a line that is parallel to this line. So I'm going to measure. Now what I have here is 3 3/4. So I'm going to measure that. I'm going to take that measurement here. Now my back dart is 5 inches. So now from here I'm going to measure 5 inches. 5 inches from here. Now this is my 5 inches. So I'm going to, now while on this point, I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides of this line. I'm going to mark ½ inch here, and I'll mark ½ inch here. And I'll connect it to this point. So this is my back dart. This is my back dart. Don't be confused. Don't be confused. This is the front line that I brought back just for me to be able to draft out the back panel. That's why I had to bring back these lines. But right now, this is my back dart. This is my back waistline. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mark 1 inch here. I'll mark 1 inch here. 1 inch here on the ankle. I'll add 1 inch here on the ankle. Now this 1 inch is going to help our trouser to sit well. It's going to help make the front panel to sit well. It's going to make our trouser to sit well. So now what I'm going to do, this back crotch, I'm going to connect it to this 1 inch mark that I gave, and I'm also going to connect this one to this one, and I'll take it down. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this point to this point. And I'll connect this point to this point. I'll connect this point to this point. So I'm going to add my seam allowance all around it. So now I've added my seam allowance. I've added my 1/2 inch seam allowance all around it. All around it. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it. Now I'll fold in the seam allowance. So I'm going to cut it. So this is the back panel. So I'm going to cut the band. My waist circumference is 32 inches. 32 plus 2 inches overlap gives you 34 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance gives you 35 inches. So because my fabric is going to be on fold, so I'm going to divide 35 by 2. 35 divided by 2 gives you 14.5. So I'm going to mark 14.5 inches here. So I'll cut it. Now this is my front panel, this is the back panel, this is my pocket bag, this is the pocket facing, and this is the, now this is my back, this is the back panel, this is the front panel, this is the flower, this is the pocket facing, this is the pocket bag, this is my zipper shield, and this is the band, this is my waistband. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut two of these, I'll cut two of this, I'll cut two of these, and I'll cut this on fold. My band, I'm going to cut my band one, and it's going to be on fold. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it and show you the outcome. I'm going to stop here for now because I don't want this video to be too long. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to sew your trouser, how to couple your trouser. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button, share this video with your friends, share this video in your sewing groups, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Lizama Stitches. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.